Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. This is Comic Book Team Up, the show where every other week we're here, and every other week we're on the Fourth Age, and we talk about comic books with my buddy RJ from the Fourth Age. How you doing, RJ?
I'm doing good. Haven't done this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you got business to take care of. You're a businessman.
Sidetracked.
Fighting Wendigos and Bigfoots and Sasquatches and Yetis and all those stuff up there in the Great White North. And communists. Don't forget the communists, the scary stuff.
Oh, yeah, John, you got no idea. Uh, just watching the news around here is like needles under my fingernails.
RJ's in Canada. I'm over here in New York, which is commie light. These days, my wife is from Canada, so we go back to visit relatives once in a while. Her family's still there. Is there an anti-American sentiment building up?
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely, John, absolutely. But I think that's what Trump is trying to do, because the whole point of Canada isn't its own country, and the only reason why it actually started to develop its own identity, probably around the '70s, was anti-America. We're not America. That's it. That's the only identity it had, right? And that's what it built around. So that's what it sparked. He sparked that again. So that's Trump's whole thing is we want to start trade with everybody being a nation instead of internationalism, and that's all he's doing. So he's playing the whole country like a fiddle.
Do you think this tariffs and stuff like that? Do you think Trump is doing the right thing
It's the only thing he can do.
as far as Canada is concerned?
Oh, I mean, yeah, the whole point is that every nation needs to start standing on its own 2 feet again. That's the only way he can make America great again. And in order to do that, this is what he's got to do. He's got to promote nationalism across the board and making tariffs, giving everybody tariffs. Yep, that does it.
Yeah, I agree. For the most part, I'm a dummy, so I don't really understand the high finance stuff. I do know. I'm in construction, and I'm in New York, a Democrat liberal state. I'm in a union and everything, and things were bad for 8 years under Obama. It was 12 to 14 weeks furlough, meaning we're out of work. So it was a little more than a quarter of the year you're out of work. But if you got laid off, you would have to do your 12 weeks furlough before you went to the bottom of the list. So if you got laid off, you could be out of work for 11 months and, for almost a year. We'll just call it a year. So everybody was scared, and everybody was talking about how great Obama was, and then Trump becomes the president, and boom, we have full employment. Out of our union, we had 200 guys that weren't working, and the leader of the union said that those guys are hiding. They probably have side jobs, and they're not answering the phone. So we actually put in a call for what we call travelers, guys from out of our jurisdiction, to come and fill the slots. And then Biden goes into president. We're back to 12 weeks furlough. So like I said, I'm a dummy, but I do observe the observable real world, the virtues that you always talk about. One of them is reality. And I'm like, how can you guys say, it's Obama's policies finally caught on, and then they clicked off. And now Trump is president again. It's 9 months or so. And Friday, my job ended. That's the thing about construction is jobs end and you go. So my job ended. My shop basically laid everybody off because the job was over. You do a mad scramble and you get rehired. I panicked a little because I thought I was going to be out of work all summer. So Friday, John's over. Thank you. It was real good. Job's done. Go home. I'm going to start building a deck because I think I'm going to be out of work all summer long. Wednesday, they called me up. I'm on a new job, and I was talking to the union hall. They said things are booming right now. They said we would have called you back earlier, but basically there was so many people. They were making so many calls to put. That's the only reason why I missed 2 days instead of just 1 day. It takes 1 day to process the paperwork. So basically, I wasn't going to be out of work. So how can anybody look at this, especially in New York, and say like, Trump doesn't know what he's doing? You know what I mean? I don't know. There's my political rant. But I already lost RJ, put him to sleep.
No, I'm here. I'm just I'm thinking because again, just a little bit of a sidetrack, but I place myself in. I did this deliberately. place myself in the best position I possibly could in order to make money, because my business is basically based upon people taking out mortgages. That's the kind of legal research that we mostly concentrate on. That's what we gravitated towards, right? Canada has the most personal debt of any country in the entire world, right? So people just use their houses like ATM machines. And the thing is that when everybody else does poorly, we do spectacularly well because nobody has money, and everybody then goes to their house and gets a mortgage because they need to pay the bills. So, I mean,
Oh, like they get like a refinance, or, take the equity and turn that into cash or something.
exactly what they do. So, that's what my business was based upon, right? I mean, we did other things to begin with, but that's what it just became after a while, because this place is a cash cow for somebody who wants to do that.
Oh, so I'll wire up the house and then you exploit the owners. Good, we'll make a team.
I hate to think of it because here's the thing, yeah, I said this once when I was doing my work, and the lady next to me said, "Go to hell." But anyways, but I said I've never had an actual mortgage in my life, so I've dealt with these legal documents for like 30 years. I know the ins and outs of all this kind of stuff, but I don't actually know how they work personally. Is the thing. And it's just because I set myself up so that I didn't actually have to, like, I think of mortgages as modern day indentured servitude, quite honestly. It's like that's the way that medieval peasants were. We don't even know it.
Zach 10 here, I think, is 100% right. I know the rhetoric could get tough, but I think most Americans do want Canadians to do well. But the big government diversity politics won't help. Yes. Everybody that I know, we like Canada. My wife is Canadian. I don't have any bad ill will towards Canada. I like going to Canada. It's like America's cleaner little brother. Everybody's nice and pleasant. I've been to Montreal, been to Toronto, I've been to Vancouver. Lovely people. I really like it. I would like to go back. But I think Canada is I don't think their government is it's like all the West. They're importing so many people that they're ruining Canada.
Oh yeah. Think of Canada right now as Marvel Comics. It's that they're never going to be saved unless it burns itself down. That's pretty much it. I mean, right today, like I said, I was talking about the news. I was watching somebody else's house, right? The two people that organized the trucker protests are going to be sentenced today, and they're looking at probably like 7 to 15 years in jail for just organizing a protest.
I always looked at Canada as like they try stuff out in Canada before they bring it to the States. Like they closed those guys' bank accounts. And that really scared me because that's going to be the next tactic here. Just take away your bank. What do I got to do now? Do the FDR thing and put all my gold in my mattress? Remember, FDR took all our gold.
Oh, they've already done the next step in Europe. They deperson people in Europe. It's like they charge you with the crime of destabilizing the government. You're not allowed to have a bank account. You're not allowed to leave the country. You're not allowed to enter the country. You're not allowed to work. And therefore, you basically become a dependent of the state, and you can't do anything unless they say so.
I know, like, I always thought it was weird because I grew up watching SCTV. Those are all Canadians. John Candy and Lorne Michaels was originally Canadian. All those guys are Canadians, but I always just never intellectualized as a kid that they were foreigners. You know what I mean? Because they were basically Americans in my mind. And then you listen to bands like Guess Who. And what's that guy's name? Bert something. I forget the lead singer of Guess Who. And he's so anti-American. And it was really a shock to me as a teenager to like the band Guess Who and then see that the singer really, really, really has a problem with America. And I was like, but we're America. Everybody, you know what I mean? Like, because I was a kid. And then you find that there is like an anti-American sentiment through Canada. But like I rationalize Bert Cummings. Thank you, Tacitus Jones. I always rationalized it as like they don't really hate us. That you know what I mean? That's like, yeah, I hate my older brother. He's so good at sports, and I'm not good at sports. You know what I mean? But you love him anyway. So I don't know. Is there a legit hatred of America in Canada, or is it just like we're too close and it's like sibling
It's
rivalry.
always been underneath, and people used to just hide it underneath a smile, but now they just wear it on their sleeve. I mean, the more liberal you are, the more conservative you are. Yeah, you don't care. You love America. You want Canada to become like America. The more liberal you are, yeah, it's pure on hatred right now. Again, the news story about a guy who is supposed to be touring the East Coast. He's American. He's part of the MAGA movement. He spoke out against the rainbow flag, and he spoke out against what something else like you and I would just agree with, right? And they're canceling all of his like the government and the smaller governments, like the, I don't know what you call it, town governments and provincial governments are canceling all his he's a Christian rock guy, and they're canceling his stuff so that he can't come in and do his shows. It's like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. Speaking of Canadians, have you heard these rumors that John Byrne might be coming to draw the X-Men?
I have not heard that.
Yeah, anybody in the chat have any information? Because I literally heard this maybe 3 hours ago. Because believe it or not, I don't spend a lot of time on the internet. I was talking about that with my guest earlier tonight, that like I think the internet warps people's minds. Like we become parasocial relationships. Like I try to spend as much time as possible in the real world with real human beings, playing board games and hanging out with my wife and family. And then the internet, we have this weird dysfunctional, distorted reality. And then, I was about to start saying stuff that I don't want to drag you into. Yeah, Alberta, right, is the one that is very conservative. Is that the one?
Oh yeah, they're like 90%. They're both 90% conservative.
Right, and coincidentally, they're the one that has the oil.
Yep, and they're not allowed to use it because there's so many idiotic environmentalist stuff going on, and literally the Trudeau government pretty much killed the oil sands, whatever it is they call it, the oil patch that they have, because it has to be refined in a very specific way, and it needed to be shipped into America in order for it to be refined, and they killed the pipeline so that it couldn't do that. And now America has outstripped Canada of how to refine it, and they got their own oil patches, and the whole thing is just a complete mess.
Joke was talking about Trump was joking about making Canada a state rather. How do you feel about that? We'll get to comic books, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
How do I feel about that? I've said this since, I don't know, probably 30, 40 years. Canada is going to collapse at some point. It's just inevitable. It doesn't deserve to be a country. Just look at if you look at the political science definition of a country, it doesn't deserve to be a country, and it's held together by hatred of America, basically. And it's maybe a very thin layer at times of a hatred of America. We're not America, and that's it.
Yeah, I at first I thought it would be funny, like let's take over Canada, let's take over Mexico, but like we can't, because then it's just going to be more liberal, conservative, it'll be more Democrat senators and congressmen. You know what I mean? Because even the most conservative Canadian is still probably left to me. So like,
well, the funny thing is that, John, that if you're talking about Canada and its government, I think this is like the 4th iteration of government for Canada. Like you guys had one. Right? You started one country, and it was always that country, and you got your constitution and everything else, and that's what America is. So that's no problem. But Canada's got, it's up to about 4 now. So that's how many times it doesn't really look like it changed a whole lot when you're looking at it through history. But if you know the actual history of the British North American Act and all that kind of stuff, yeah, this is the 4th iteration we're on right now, and this one is the longest, but it's going to fall at some point.
Oh, okay. So this is like the 4th constitution for Canada?
There's only been a constitution for Canada since 1984. That's the first constitution there was an supposedly unwritten constitution before that. And the point is, when they wrote the constitution in 1980s, it was Justin Trudeau's father, and it's liberal as all get out.
Well, to be fair, he was probably writing that while his wife was making love to Fidel Castro and producing Justin Trudeau. So, probably was a little distracted. That's my conspiracy theory. Do you think Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's kid?
I don't know, John, but I know he's a moron. That's about it.
RJ can't answer that because the secret police the Mounties will come out on horseback and tie him to a train track like what was her name? Not Penelope Pitstop, but that. Well, anyway, you got to sign up for your new campaign. So I will bring that up right now. We'll get into comic books. I wasted everybody's time talking about stupid politics, but it's not all the time we get to talk to foreigners like RJ. So here we got Fade to Blue. This is your sign up. So I just played the trailer. This campaign is not live yet. Sign up to this and you'll get emails to keep notifications. So where is the link? I'll throw the link here again. Oh, it's in the private chat. Okay. So when do you think you'll go live with Fade to Blue?
I don't know. We're actually working on the last book, but I'm a little bit behind on editing the last couple of pages that were just sent to me. So we're on the first chapter. There's 3 chapters in each book, and they're all just floppies, basically, right? So I don't know how they're going to be printed, but we're on page 5. So it's first chapter. We still have to finish. I want to finish the first book, but depends on how fast my artist goes.
So I will say this, Renzo is officially done with Heroic Tales 2. And as of today, he's starting Patriarch number 1. So we are actually starting the next campaign. So that's exciting. He's going to take a quick break, and we're trying a new art style for my top secret mythological project that I think only you know, RJ. And we're going to make a promo just to see if we could do it the way I envision it. Oscar's going to do like a painting technique. I don't know if anybody read Roma Eternal, but Oscar painted that. Like he digitally painted it rather than colored it. And it just looks so good. So Renzo is going to try a different art style because Oscar says it needs to be done a different way. I don't understand. I'm not an artist. So Oscar and Renzo, and we're going to make a promo poster, color it, get it lettered. And that's when I'll make the announcement of my top secret, super double secret probation, mythological, historical comic book. That it'll probably be the greatest comic book ever made. How's that? How's that for hyperbole, RJ? The polar ice cap is melting as a new trade route is opening up. America needs to have military presence to keep those trade routes safe away from the Chinese. Yeah, we got to invade Canada for military reasons. Have you? I don't want to get into politics, but have you heard of the Grand Solar Minimum? Have you heard anything?
No, I've not heard about that.
I've been hearing about it for 20 years, but it seems to be like these fringe scientists are saying that we are about to enter another ice age, that the sun changes its output on a schedule, and they predict that the sun's output is going to reduce real soon, and instead of global warming, we're going to have global freezing. But those scientists are kind of shut up, and lately I've been seeing like the entire solar system, the temperature in the entire solar system is changing. So who knows? I don't know.
We're technically not out of the last ice age. Actually, we're still in an ice age. That's why the polar ice caps that have ice on them, we're in an ice age still. It's just whether or not how cold it gets is the thing. So,
and I remember we had a mini ice age in the 1300s. They say that was one of the reasons for the plagues in Europe.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've heard that as well. It's just because it allowed normally the ticks that were in the southern part. I can't remember. I've heard that as well, and that's funny because just to bring it back to comics for just 2 seconds, but my Crom the Destroyer book is based upon. It's kind of like if you remember, what's the name of that? Fire and Ice. Remember Fire and Ice?
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi.
it's based upon a combination of two ideas of a Conan idea, of the fall of the Hyborian age plus the fire and ice idea, because they both end or start with an ice age. And I thought, that's very interesting. I should center it around, because I wanted to center it around like a historical event, but not one that's actually real. So
Oh, cool.
that was my ice age, mini ice age kind of thing. Was my idea, because I'll probably just say it right here, because we got good people here and I don't think anybody's going to bother with it. But for Crom the Destroyer is, let's say, the end of the Hyborian age was supposed to be an ice age that brought it to an end, right? But at the same time, I thought to myself, okay, what if it wasn't actually an ice age in the way that we think about it, because that doesn't actually fit with Robert E. Howard's history exactly. But if they did it as if it was a sorcerer basically created an ice age in order to maintain control, which is what happens in Fire and Ice, then that would fit perfectly into that slot right there.
At some point in the future, I would I have the RJ and I talk behind the scenes, so I'm trying not to reveal secrets about his comic, and he's trying not to reveal secrets about my comic, but we have remarkably similar ideas. And one of them is that have you ever read a book called The Power of Vril, the future the future yet to be? It's a real book, and it's where Roy Thomas got the idea of Vril is mental energy, and Mike Mignola uses it in Hellboy a lot, and supposedly the Nazis were searching the secret of Vril. But it all started from a novel that came out in the 1800s about an explorer. They bought a gold mine. Him and his buddy bought a gold mine, and they were exploring the gold mine, went deeper. One of them fell to his death, and the other guy went to go rescue him, and he got trapped beneath the earth, and he found a society of these people that were physically weak, but they had these mental abilities, and the mental abilities called Vril. And these people, once they knew that there was people above, and they kind of were aware of the technological advances, they basically implied it's only a matter of time before we go to the surface and attack and take over. So this guy's coming back saying we need to develop Vril instead of weapons. It's the only way we're going to. And it was written in those like Lovecraft stories that's supposed to be real, like it really happened. It was written in letters back and forth, and discovered. And then the author is the guy who discovered the book. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of semi hoaxes that were popular around the 1920s. But it's an interesting book. So that is kind of like, what if like there was ancient societies that used Vril? So I would like to write a story in this golden age. In Greek mythology, they say that there was a golden age, and people will literally have like golden skin, like in this golden age, and they were Vril users, and then that led to like the downfall of society. And there's a reason why we started all over again with these ice ages, and we don't know any past civilizations. I just like that kind of stuff. I think it's so. One day I will tell in Heroic Tales just a story before the cavemen and the civilization that no longer exists because Vril destroyed it.
I agree completely with John in the fact that we have very similar ideas, because part of the plot points, if I ever get to make more than the one Crom the Destroyer, which we're still working on, but is the fact that why don't we have any evidence of these older civilizations? That's one of the points I have. It's like, this is why. It's because of this kind of magic.
Right.
Kind of.
RJ knows, but superpowers in my world are great. It's great to fly, it's great to heal, and it's great to fly faster than light, stuff like that. But human beings are not ready for them. We stumbled upon them by accident. So sooner or later, these powers, you're channeling energy from another dimension, and that dimension sooner or later literally causes brain damage. And the patriarch hasn't succumbed to it yet because he's grounded, he has a family, you know what I mean? He's not living perpetually online and becoming a crazy person. He's touching grass. I hate that expression. But every other paranormal sooner or later loses touch and gets delusions of grandeur, and we're not supposed to have this power yet. And I forgot why I was even bringing this up, but we kind of have that. Don't you have that? Like powers are kind of have a cost to them in your world also.
Oh yeah, it's all based on the heroic in my world. As you know, my channel is based on the heroic, but it's all
Right.
based on the heroic. Whether or not you're a villain or a hero depends on how you use your powers, and that also determines the intensity of your ability to use them.
And old dirty fatty says, "Oh no, the earth is burning. We must sacrifice our freedom to the great pagan deed." Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, that old dirty fatty. I'm going to go on a tangent here, John. Just give me a
go
second
ahead. Go
here.
ahead. You
Okay.
rant for a change instead of me
Okay,
ranting.
let me rant for a second here.
I'm wondering if I could even say what's in my head right now. Go ahead. Go.
Like, I know that I'm a little too far north right now for what I'm used to for heat, but still, these people keep on saying heat wave, heat wave. This you watch the news. I watch the Boston news. It doesn't matter. I watch the news up here. It's all about we're all going to burn, and they're closing down the Parthenon and everything else. I'm sitting here going, when is this heat coming my way? Because I'm sitting here in one of the coldest summers. I mean, it's nice and sunny and all, but this is one of the coldest summers I can remember for the last 10 years. I don't know where these people are coming up with this nonsense, except for the fact that they're taking temperature readings inside cities, which are boiling because they're cities. It makes I was like, no, they've redefined what a heat wave is basically since 1984. I mean, I am really ticked off every time I listen to the weather right now, because it's all everybody just go inside and you're going to have massive heat, and it's like, it's a sunny day. What's the matter with you people?
Go outside. Go sit outside with a lemonade.
Exactly.
Bring back those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summertime. I read today, and I'm sure we got nobody from Europe watching us, but I would love if a European could confirm. I read that more Europeans die from heat stroke than Americans die from gunshots. So I'm starting to think that Europe is a third world nation pretending to be a first world nation. They don't even have AC in Europe. You know, they have a heat wave in France, I remember, and I read France, I think it was the 90s or maybe the late 80s. They had a power blackout. At the same time, they were furloughing the doctors, and like hundreds and thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds and maybe up to thousands of people died from heat exhaustion in southern France. But all I could think of is big bad America. We don't furlough doctors. If anything, the doctors would love to take time off, but they can't. And we got AC, over at the Subway, at the Burger King, at the deli. It's like, what's going on, Europe? Turn your ACs on. My wife is commenting. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm just going to add to my little rant is the fact that, sure, I'm pretty sure that you probably have more people dying and being affected by the heat right now, but it's because we've become a bunch of pansies. That's the only reason.
It's funny that you said that, because me and my wife were complaining over the weekend. I said, it was this hot and it was this humid when we were kids, but we were skinny and playing and outside and running around, and you know what I mean? Like, it's funny because I'll go to work and I'll work in the most horrific conditions, and you don't let yourself, you can't afford the luxury of being bothered by the weather. I got work to do. I got bills to pay. I got to get this done. But it's funny, when I come home from work, I can't deal with the slightest bit of humidity. You know what I mean? Because now I have the luxury of and that's what I think. I think we're too soft. You're absolutely right. We have the luxury to complain. We don't have to get the harvest done or die. We don't have to fight the barbarian. We don't have to, get that medicine, or everybody's going to die of tuberculosis. Like, we're going to miss Maury Povich so we could bitch. You know what I mean? But do you think the Dust Bowl people had the luxury of complaining? It's humid. It's too humid now. And now I can't go down to the bodega and buy some yodels or something.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Plus the fact that you should appreciate this, John. It's the construction method that people are using today for houses, just completely ridiculous. When I built the place that I'm in right now, I just, like, me and my brother just did it. It's basically like a teardown. But we did experimental stuff. But I was using building methods from basically 300 years ago from Scandinavia, right?
Yeah.
And that's why my walls are foot and a half thick, and they're like R50, R60. But I mean, it's to keep the place warm because I hate being cold, and I'm in a cold place right now. But at the same time, like in the summer, it never gets above 75 in here. That's about it, ever. Even if it gets, to be 105 outside, which it usually gets about 101, maybe in the hottest days. It never gets above 75 in here. I mean, we have these techniques from hundreds of years ago to make better houses. I mean, even 100-year-old houses with the construction and the way that they would even place the floorboards and everything else with this OSB crap. Anyways, I'm going off and rant again. We have the technology to actually make things better. People just don't want to put the energy into making it.
My wife sent me a message that says they don't have ACs because they generally don't get that hot, but you can get AC, but it's extremely expensive. To which I say, that's a funny way of saying that Europe doesn't have efficient energy production cost,
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I mean, go to like even in Korea, they have these fun things where you can go in, like there are bus stops basically, but they're for AC, so you can go in and not die of the heat. But anyplace else you go, you're not getting it, and they are hot.
Europe doesn't have AC because the temperatures are generally low, except in the Mediterranean. Yeah, but then why are people dying? It sounds to me like Europe's got to bite the bullet and produce more electricity. Like, I know France has nuclear reactors. Does France have problems with power? But what about Sweden, Germany, and England? Do they still burn coal or solar? I don't know.
Yeah, again, I would just chalk it up to soft people. We got too many. I mean, I hate to say it, and I hate to be like Malthusian about this whole thing, but the reason why people are dying is those people just, they would have died before now if they had lived 100 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I'd just like to say, while we were talking, I just got a contribution. Somebody backed my book. So now, of course, I can't get the book. So I'm at $4,951, $49 away from the next stretch goal. Does anybody have it in their heart to back Heroic Tales 2? Let's hit the third stretch goal, because Friday is the end of this campaign. So there we go. Herb, Europeans don't have the same need for AC because it doesn't get as hot, so people aren't adapted to high heat. Okay. I don't know. Have you been to Europe?
Yeah. Well, I went to Ireland for a while and backpacked around.
I've been to Iceland. They didn't have any problems with AC in Iceland. It was cold. All right, so let's talk about comics. Do you get any new comics, RJ?
No, I haven't gotten any new comics for a while. Just for the stuff I order online through Indiegogo is basically where my new comics come from right now.
So just like crowdfunded stuff. You don't go to the comic store and get anything new.
Well, like I said, my comic store, which was a hole in the wall, closed down because of shutting the world down. So I got no place to go except for Funko Pop stores, which have an occasional comic in it.
When you go to, all right, I was going to get into controversy that I don't want to drag you into. I'm trying to think. If I got it. Oh, yeah, I got Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, John Byrne's first comic. Anybody remember this comic? That's how much of a John Byrne. So if he's coming back to the X-Men, I might actually get tempted to buy X-Men comics for the first time in a long time. I've been reading this. I can't find it now, but I started getting the Dan Slott run of Fantastic Four, so I think it's from like 2018. It's the issue where Ben Grimm actually gets married. So I think I'm up to issue 9 of I think it lasted 48 issues. It's excellent so far. It's no identity politics. It's just, I mean, the Ben Grimm gets married in a Jewish wedding, but that's always been the character. What is the most recent mainstream comic that you read that you've enjoyed?
Most probably would be it's not the current Conan the Barbarian that they're putting out, but the Titan ones that they put out to retell the Robert E. Howard stuff. That would probably be the most enjoyable stuff that I did read the free comic book day for the Conan the Barbarian series that they have right now. That was good. The Red Sonja was completely awful. Oh, Atlantean, yes.
Did you get this?
If I remember correctly, I don't remember getting it in the mail though, but I thought I ordered it.
This is on Fund My Comic right now. This is the Atlantic. This is Cull. I have to admit I know nothing about Cull, so this is really all I know about Cull.
We had a good discussion about Cull last week when I did my my stream last Thursday.
Yeah. You invited me just as I was going to bed.
Yeah, we had. I basically walked through the door from being away, and then said, "I'll do a live stream."
Olufowemi is going to get us into a fight here. What do you guys look for specifically when seeking out indie projects to back? To be honest, if you've been on my show and you're a fun guest, I'm a sucker. It's almost an insta back. I get like if 3 days go by and I don't get like an indie comic that I backed in the mail, that's rare. I get so many. It's funny because one guy accused me, that guy doesn't even back any books. I'm like, what are you, nuts? So I always take pictures and put it on Twitter just to show these people. Nobody backs more indie books than me. You know, I think I'm the biggest sucker on the planet. So really, if you got a book and you've been on my channel, I'm a soft touch. You know, you get in one sale, me. But if you haven't been on my channel, I gotta say, word of mouth, you know, I got Fiendish before I met Rini because everybody said how good it was, and not just everybody said how good it was, like people whose opinions I respected said how good it was, and I did like the art. Like, you know, it makes sense. You look at a comic book, you can see that the art is good from a distance, but I can't tell if the writing is any good from a distance. So I got Fiendish, and I loved it so much. Then I reached out and had her on my channel. But what about you, RJ? What gets your eye?
It's a process for me because here's the thing: in order for me to buy a second book from anybody, it has to have good writing in the first book. If you got bad writing, I will not buy the second book.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I will clarify myself. I fool me once, shame on you, kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah. But if I'm going in cold and I'm just looking at the book and I don't have any other experience with this people who are producing it, it's got to have A, good art, and B, a genre that I would normally read. That's about it.
Now, what genres would you normally read?
Sword and sorcery and superheroes, definite. If it was something, I'm not really into like the whole dark. If you're going with like the Cthulhu mythology and all that kind of stuff, if it's dark and heavy, it's like, I got enough dark and heavy in normal everyday today. I want, superhero, inspirational, sword and sorcery, fighting evil, all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have to be, it can be sword and sandal. It can be a couple of different genres, but I'm really into, I'll put it this way. The last, we'll say 10 years before, to say 2010 to 2020, I really got into anime and manga a lot because everything else fell off, and I really enjoyed the positivity of it. If you can capture anything like that, then I'm in.
Okay. It's funny because I'm getting what, like I said, I talk to at least 3 people on average a week. Back 3 comics a week usually, to the point I'm like, oh good, there's no campaigns right now, you know what I mean? It gets a little expensive. But for the most part, I've been seeing the quality of the comics going up. A lot of the comics that I got at the beginning of like around 2016, oh man, it was just god awful, and they were like really expensive. I'm seeing the quality of these indie comics going up, and for the most part, the price is getting reasonable. I'm not going to say that the prices are cheap, but at least the page count justifies the expense. Like when somebody says, "Oh, this is an artisanal comic," I'm like, I'm out. That's just a way of saying this is an expensive book because whatever. But do you find that these indie comics are the quality's getting better, or am I just
Yeah,
maybe?
quality is getting better. That being said, I'm with you on the fact that because here, this is biting me in the backside right now, just because with Crom the Destroyer, I have a whole lot of pages still to do, and it's taken me forever when I originally wanted to do it with 3 artists. But anyway, I for my books is like I'm giving you a good chunk of pages, and a lot of people go, "Well, that's too expensive." I'm going, "You're getting 80 plus pages. This is not a small book, right? And we're talking top tier art." So I find that there are getting better for the art and for the indie storytelling, but at the same time, people are starting to get smaller and go for floppy. I mean, your floppy is exactly right, but not many people are going to go that that way. A lot of people are still doing, $25 for floppy. I'm going, sorry, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, I saw a campaign, 48 pages, so 8 more pages than my book for $25. And I'm like, but if people are willing to pay for it, people are willing to pay for it. But I'm like, mine is 40 pages, so 8 less pages, and it's $10. I, go figure. Go figure. I just want to say, like, genres that you said you're not really into, like Cthulhu and stuff like. To me, I love Cthulhu, but I'm very, very picky because I think what most people consider Cthulhu is they just throw tentacles in something and it's Cthulhu. That's like that to me means you never read. Maybe you read Call of Cthulhu and that's about it. Cthulhu is all psychological terror and suspense and mystery and intrigue. That's Lovecraftian. Not just tentacles, but something that really turns me off is dystopian. Like it's set in the future and society has fallen. I'm just that's the way we're heading. I don't want to read that. You know what I mean? It's like that's funny. That's in 7 years. I don't want to read about that. Like, give me a guy who shoots laser beams and stops bank robbers.
Well, the funny thing is that my novel manuscript is said like, no, not really post-apocalyptic, but it sort of goes that way. But I wrote it somewhere between 2008 and 2010.
Like I would like. I'm toying with the idea of writing a detective story, but man, you got to get your details straight. So that is. I'm reading a lot of Miss Tree right now. Have you ever read that?
Not since the 1980s. We'll put it that way, John.
Yeah. I'm reading some of the original stuff. I started getting into mystery when DC had Mystery Quarterly, and then I liked them, and then I went and I bought all of the Renegade Press and Eclipse Comics. So I'm burning through. I think I'm up to issue 18, and they're just flat out detective stories. Procedural detectives in like a comic book soap opera format. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what Fate to Blue is like. It is a bit of a detective-based story. It's kind of, what the heck is the name of that? There was a series that was on of movies in the late 70s, early 80s. I can't remember what, but basically he was a supernatural detective, but he was a reporter at the same time. But that's what Fate to Blue is like. Night Stalker. You're right. Exactly.
Kolchak, the Night Stalker. Yes, Ozzy Osbourne died. Yeah. Yes, Ozzy Osbourne died. You're a big Black Sabbath fan, right? You shake.
Sorry, no.
Yeah.
I'll be Beach Boys. There's the level of what I'm comfortable with.
The Beach Boys. It's funny. I last year I went through a big Beach Boy phase, and I was listening to a lot of Beach Boys. Like that was music that I listened to as a kid, and then it became like too wholesome, so therefore it was embarrassing in my punk rock stages, And then you learn the life of the Beach Boys, and it's anything but wholesome,
It's really fun. I was going through some stuff on YouTube there a couple of weeks ago about basically these are people who study music and they're studying the complexity of Beach Boy songs. They're going, these things are beyond what you would ever think would come from these guys sitting on a beach, right? This is musically extremely complex.
Have you ever read have you ever listened to the album that was never released? I think it was called Smiley Smile.
I don't know if I have or not. I don't think so.
Yeah, you could go on YouTube and listen to it, but they took a couple of tracks off of it. One of them is like Good Vibrations, but he when Jimi Hendrix at the end of Third Stone from the Sun, you hear he goes, nobody will listen to beach music anymore, and it fades out. Brian, what's his name? Brian Wilson got like, oh my God, this is the end of beach music. We got to change. And then he heard Abbey Road, and he was like, this is the way. So he tried to make his Abbey Road Jimi Hendrix album, and he just basically drove everybody nuts. No, we got to do it. We got to do it different. Do it different. Do it. And it's a really bizarre album. And then when he brought it to the record label, they were like, "Are you crazy? We can't release this. We can't." And Brian Wilson he said he got crushed, and that's kind of when the Beach Boys became like they just did their old songs. They didn't release a new song till Kokomo in like 1988.
Yeah,
it really, really crushed him. He poured his soul into it. So I was like, I got to hear this album. So like you could get bootlegs of it, but I listened to it on YouTube one day, and I'm at work. I'm down in the dungeons of some building in Roosevelt Avenue, and I'm bending pipe. I'm like Vulcan down in the pits, just bending pipe, and I'm blasting this extremely bizarre psychedelic album. And I just remember some guy just comes walking in the room and just goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "I'm fine." He goes, "You're listening to some weird stuff." I go, "Believe it or not, this is the Beach Boys." He goes, "Really?" And he was like, and I started telling him, and you could just see he was like Homer Simpson going into the bushes. Like, but I'm curious if you like the Beach Boys. Listen, I think it's called Smiley Smile, and I think they edited it into just Smile, and they took like the most presentable tracks. But it really is really, and that's supposedly one of the things that Charles Manson uses as an inspiration. But I don't know. Why are we talking about the Beach Boys? This is supposed to be comic books. Have you seen the new HBO Perry Mason? They made his secretary Delia. I don't watch anything new. I don't watch any new TVs. I'm officially an old man. I wait until other people tell me, oh, that okay. Like, I don't want to be preached to. I'm not going to watch 7 hours of a TV show, and then the 8th hour, they're going to tell me why I'm a bigot because I don't think 6-year-olds can get their genitals removed. I'm like, oh, God, no, I can't watch. Which is why I waited a couple of weeks to watch Superman. RJ, I love Superman. I'll hold off talking about it till you see it, but I loved it. And I'm curious what you're going to think.
Well, I haven't gotten to see it yet because I got sidetracked for a couple of reasons, but I am planning to go see it. I was going to do a video about it this weekend, not Superman, but about the fact that people are talking about the new Fantastic Four and how none of the things that the people said that were making it have actually made it into the movie. They're just trolling people, right?
Right.
Like,
James Gunn, is that his name? The director, James Gunn? He should have been given a gag order by the studio because all the things that he said were not in the movie. Like, they didn't say truth, justice, and the human. They didn't say anything. They just left it out. I mean, I would have preferred that they said truth, justice, and the American way. But if you're not going to say that, don't say anything. But it was a flawed movie, but it was my favorite Superman movie. I always have to give the caveat that the first movie was an important piece of American cinema, important movie, but it's not my favorite Superman movie. Like, I know, like, criticizing that is like criticizing The Godfather or something like that. But I had problems with the Christopher Reeve Superman. Not Christopher Reeve, he was perfect. I can't think of the woman's name who plays Lois Lane. Like, everybody in that movie, yeah, Margot Kidder. Like, that movie's it's got a special place in my heart, and I think that movie was necessary in the grand scheme of comic book movies. That movie showed the general public, the critics, everybody, that comic books could be made into good, legitimate art, and that's what that movie is. But that is a comic book movie as art. This movie is a comic book movie it's a comic book as a comic book movie. You'll understand what I'm talking about. It's just a comic book movie.
Here's what I said last week in my live stream talking about it. It was the fact that I'm just listening to all these people talk about it, right? It's the funniest thing that he said he didn't want truth, justice in the American way. He wanted truth, justice, and whatever it was that you're talking about.
The
But
humankind or something like that.
yeah, something like that. But the whole thing is that it's not doing well except for outside the United States. And it's not doing well except outside the United States because he did it in such an Americana way, as if it was 1985 and comic books were still on top. That's how he made the movie, right?
Probably
And
why I like it then if he was aiming for a 1985 vibe.
well, that's the thing. He did it this way, and that's the American way to do it. I mean, he didn't want the American way in there, but he actually absolutely did it as an American to say, "Oh, everybody's going to get it because it's America." And we're on top of the entertainment, like as if it was 1985, right? So it's ridiculous the fact that he is so against it philosophically, and yet his mindset is so entrenched in America is number one that he made the entire movie that way, so that America loves it, nobody else can get it.
I got minor nitpicks with the movie. Like, this is a spoiler-free nitpick. Like, the S on Superman's symbol, it just drives me nuts because it's not an S. It's a stripe. You know what I mean? Like, it uses the border of the symbol as part of the S. So the only way that we recognize that as Superman symbol is if we've
Kingdom
seen
Come.
the Superman symbol before. You know, and to quote Family Guy, it insists upon itself. You know what I mean? Like because we had 70 years of seeing it as an S, we now recognize this abstract symbol as the S. But if that was the first time we ever saw it, it wouldn't make any sense. That just drives me crazy. Like,
Again,
like
that's my point. He's using the Kingdom Come symbol for Superman, for the Superman symbol, thinking that everybody will get it when only Americans would understand it because it's an American comic book thing with Kingdom Come.
Good point. I didn't even I forgot it was the Kingdom Come. But like I like little things that I did like his red shorts were trunks rather than skinny tiny whiteys. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't just like underwear, they were trunks, and it just made him look more wholesome. I liked, and I'm going to be as spoiler free as possible. I like that there was a speech between Lois Lane and Superman, and she was basically mocking him for being a Boy Scout. And he says, and she says, yeah, but you think everything, you love everything. And then Superman just looks at it and goes, but Lois, everything is beautiful. And you just saw her face like she was kind of ashamed that she was mocking him. And then it followed up with another scene that I'm not going to get into, which just confirmed that she was the cynic and he was the guy, bright-eyed, bushy, who saw the best in everything. And it made Lois like, oh man, he's like it inspired her to become a better person. And that's what I want out of a Superman movie. There was flaws, and a lot of people say things that I don't want to spoil because I want to hear what you have to say about it. I'm really curious what you have to say about it. But overall, they treated Superman really well. Yeah, he struggled and he fought, but if he doesn't struggle and he's not in pain, then I don't. Then there's no tension and then no drama. Like, I don't want your Superman just be like, this is all beneath me. You know what I mean? Swatting everything away like in the Matrix, just swatting away bullets, stuff like Superman screams when he gets healed because they made stressed out that he had punctured wounds and punctured organs and broken bones. If that all of a sudden gets reset, that's gotta hurt even for Superman. I liked it. I thought the movie was mid. I expected normies to love it, but my theater's cool. It's funny because a bunch of kids sat next to me and my wife, and we were like, "Oh man," you know what I mean? And how horrible is that? That two old people are complaining that there's a bunch of kids sitting next to them in a Superman movie. We're the worst, you know what I mean? And then the movie started. These kids shut up and watched the whole movie, not a peep. You know, that was good. Did I lose you, RJ? Did I put you to sleep?
No, I'm here. I was just
Okay.
thinking to myself, it's a bizarre experience because, like I said, I went back to the movies for the first time in like 5 years when I went to see Mission Impossible, like last month or month and a half ago. And it's like you get to pick your seat and you have people assign things. And I'm thinking, this is weird. This is just a little strange. It's a movie theater. You just walk in, sit where you want, put your feet up, and if some guy does it, you knock him down if you want to sit there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the movie theater we go to has like air conditioned seats, and you could recline. You know, like you can't put your feet on the chair in front of you. It's too far away. They reduced the amount of seats, but they made the seats more comfortable. I really like it. Well, I don't know what every movie, but this is the one. This is the one that my wife and I like. It's our preferred movie theater. We do the same thing. We get the popcorn, 2 sodas deal. We put it in the middle. It's got like an armrest. We put the popcorn right there. She drinks hers, and then we go out to dinner. We make a night out of it. Like a date night. I enjoy it. I wish there was more movies to see. It's fun. We take turns. She treats me. I treat her. It's fun.
That's funny you should say that, John, because I don't know if it's this way anymore, because I don't know when the last time, I think it was 99 when I went to Ireland last time, but when I was in Europe going to movie theaters, like America, we have the IMAX and you got, big multiplexes and all these kinds of things. And the movies look good because they're supposed to look good on the screen. When I was in Europe and went to movie theaters, so like your feet were sticking on the ground. It was basically like a carnival, picture up on the screen. Is like it's really not the respect that we would give it here in America, and so that theatrical feel that you feel in North America anyways is gone. And so again, another reason why I think that the whole we have to make it an entire spectacle doesn't quite play around the world the way it does in America.
Yeah. Logic Fighters disagrees with me. That's fine. I know people. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. I think maybe it's because I lowered my expectations to the ground, and my only criteria was please don't preach to me, and make Superman like an old fashioned good guy, what I mean? Meaning like he sees the world through rose colored glasses. They met those 2 criteria, and I just liked the super feats. I liked the powers that he used. I thought Mr. Terrific was off. So, I could see what Logic likes, but I didn't. Again, I'm trying to not bring up because I don't want to spoil the movie for you, because it's going to be like you're going to take your 2 boys, your wife, you're going to spend like $100 at the movie theater, and I don't want to ruin it for you. As far as I understand, the movie didn't make back its budget despite all the gaslighting. I fear that this new universe will end up becoming like the Snyderverse, each film making less. Yeah, I mean, the Marvel movies are making less and less. I don't know. My favorite iteration of all Superman comic books, anything is Superman the animated series, and the Fleischer Studios Superman. Those 2 to me are the best Supermans. I still, yeah, he even, my wife loved that he saved the squirrel. My wife loved Crypto. I think normies are gonna love Crypto. Americans love their dogs. And that's one of my nitpicks, that Crypto wasn't intelligent. Crypto is a super intelligent dog. He was just a dog with superpowers.
Here's something I wanted to bring up to you, John. I completely forgot. But when I was traveling, I stopped. We stopped at a truck stop, right? And what I found at this truck stop as I was wandering around was comic books.
Oh, really?
And you know why? It was because of the Superman movie. There was exclusively DC. They were packaged in the weirdest way possible and put on a stand where you had to, like, it's ridiculous the way that they did it, because you have to go through basically stacks and stacks of comics to find one that you want. And they're all just old DC stuff from about 2000 forward that's repackaged and put in a plastic bag that you can't open. But the fact that I saw comic books at a truck stop, that because of the Superman movie, that is something. That is definitely something.
Did you see it? Was this in Canada or is this in the States? I know you were traveling.
No, it was right across. Yeah, it was in Canada. We're right on the border.
Oh, cool. Good. That's good. I can't believe I went to the movie theater. They didn't have Superman comic books in the movie theater. It's like, DC, get on it. What's wrong with you? Make some cheap. You don't even have to make new comic. Well, they should have made a movie adaptation comic book like they always do, and then take some good old Superman comics and you don't have to pay. This is Marvel DC. You don't have to pay those guys anymore. So just make them cheap. Put them in the store. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. What I think when I was looking at these comic books in the truck stop, they were basically looked like, because it was definitely a professional thing. It wasn't somebody putting it there because who worked for the truck stop. It was like a DC thing, right? And somebody had shipped it out with its own stand and everything else. But it was comics basically since the 2000s about New 52 forward, that they just had laying around, and they repackaged them as long as they had Superman.
Was it
on the
yellow
cover.
cardboard stand?
It's a blue. Well, it had the Superman colors. It was blue and red and a little bit of yellow cardboard
Okay.
stand.
Because I saw somebody had posted that they saw, like, just like you, that there was a cardboard stand with Superman comics, like out of the blue. They didn't expect it. They took a picture. I'm remembering yellow, but maybe that was just one of the 3 Superman colors. Oh, Marcus says he saw the same thing at Circle K gas stations here in North Carolina. That's great. That's great. Logic Crypto is the new Baby Groot. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Another slapstick humor game for Jim. Why do we have to accept bad films just because they look good? I'll leave it alone. That's okay, Logic. I'm not fighting with you. You know, I understand that this movie is divisive. And I also understand because the internet camps form and everything is the greatest in the world and everything is the worst in the world. And if you don't like it, we hate each other. I'm trying to opt out of that. I can understand that Logic doesn't like the new Superman movie, and I do like that's fine. I'm not going to get upset about it. It's ultimately it's a cartoon character. You know what I mean? It's like fighting over Porky Pig, really, if you think about it. But that I liked it. It was definitely better than Superman Returns. I liked it. I know people love the Snyder movies, but I just did not like Man of Steel. I just did not like Man of Steel. Great Gold Worm says, John Amanya-san, I like Superman, and hearing you liked it makes me feel like, so, well, I'm nobody. Don't, you know, I had low expectations. And I'll tell you this, I have even lower expectations for Fantastic Four. The movie theater, I know everybody says that they don't accept, but my movie theater has Legos, has Harry Potter Legos, it has Funko Pops. They got the movie theater that my wife and I go, it's huge. They have room for like, they could tuck away comic book stands. They got stuffed plushies and stuff like that. I don't know. 58 Underground. I'm a longtime comic book fan. I thought the movie was great. Love it or hate it, Logic. I'm specifically asking you, I think it was the most comic book movie of all the Superman movies.
Oh, I agree that that's what it's going to be, even from looking at it and what people are saying about it. It's very much, this is a comic book movie. That's what I'm saying. It's a comic book movie for people who like comic books, although it's done in a early 1980s format when you could get into comic books. Even,
you know what it reminds me? It reminds me of the Bwahaha Justice League.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Exactly. 100%, John.
Yeah. I didn't make that connection until you just said it. John and RJ, last question. What was the last film that was this divisive? I think Man of Steel was just as divisive. I mean, people were getting mad at me when I said I didn't like it. You know, legit mad at me. Like one guy that I just got attacked by Excalibur. I guess Merlin likes Man of Steel and Tom Snyder or whatever. But there's a guy, again, I'm not going to mention names because I'm not here to start trouble, but there's a guy that I'm friendly with that when I said that I didn't like Man of Steel, he didn't talk to me for a couple of days. He goes, can we still be friends? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's a stupid movie. You know, it's you can like a movie that I don't like. I'm not that invested. You know what I mean? Like, we can still be friends even if you don't like my comic book, you know, as long as you buy it. I will say one of my nitpicks was his voice. You'll see, RJ. I like this actor, Nicholas Hoult, and I thought he was the most menacing, the most hateable, and the most petty Lex Luthor. All the movie Lex Luthors have always. I didn't see that last one because I didn't watch that Superman movie. The guy with the long hair playing Lex Luthor. I don't know. I didn't see that one. But anyway, like out of Kevin Spacey and Gene Hackman, they were just evil real estate agents. They you know what I mean? This Lex Luthor in this movie was a menace that was instantly hateable, and at the same time he was like a threat. Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg. I didn't see him as Lex Luthor. So there you go. RJ, what do you think on a maturity level? They're just cartoon characters, but I grow older, I've grown more appreciative of the symbolic and cultural things. Absolutely. I think a country, a nation, a people, a society, is more than just the sum of its parts. And I think some of those parts, it's obviously the people, it's the geography, it's the food, it's the way we interact, it's the way we behave, and it's the things that we cherish. And like it or not, like the Americans, we're supposed to cherish individuality, self-determination, the right to bear arms, Popeye, what do they say? Baseball, apple pie, and Chevrolet, driving gas guzzlers across the country. These are all American things. And Superman is one of those things that are put into this pot called America. And to disrespect Superman in a small way is disrespecting American culture. And you're allowed to do that, and that's fine if you do that. But that's, to me, like, making fun of Superman is like making fun of Paul Bunyan, George Washington. You know what I mean? I guess up in Canada, what do you got, that fur guy, Louis?
I have no idea what you're referring to. Anyways, I gotta run because my live stream was supposed to start 2 minutes ago. If you want to jump over, John, if anybody wants to raid over to Fourth Age, we can talk a little bit more about it over there.
I'll come over for a little bit. So, guys, we're gonna migrate on over to the Fourth Age. So on YouTube, go look at the Fourth Age, and RJ will be there. To answer your question, is Superman supposed to be silly or serious? John, RJ, this film seemed to be made for kids. Yeah, Superman should be made for kids. It's a comic book movie about Superman. It should be accessible for kids. Kids should like it. It should be a draw that kids want to see this movie, interested in the character, and then seek out these comic books. If the Superman movie doesn't appeal to children, it failed fundamentally, which is one of the reasons why Man of Steel was not a good Superman movie. That movie did not appeal to kids. Superman should appeal to kids. Star Wars should appeal to kids. And adults like it too. That's wonderful. But if Superman movie bores children, you failed. You failed. I'm just going to run through these comments, and then I'm going to go over on RJ's. This movie has also been helped by evil Superman fatigue. Yes, I'm so tired of evil Superman. I'm with you, Olo Fembi. It's why I don't want any non-American to play Superman. I'm not that strict. I do like Henry Cavill, but he's our boy. All I care is the look and the talent. Agree, John, these are characters that become American folklore. Yep. It's like Six Gun Gorilla will be someday. Six Gun Gorilla is Brian Cristau's book. I really, really enjoyed it. Superman should be blue sky. Yep. Which it's I'm wearing my inspiration on my sleeve. It's the main inspiration for my comic, the patriarch in my comic. I like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but they could use a more sensitive. Yes. The Christopher Nolan Batman movies were not for kids, and Batman movies should appeal to kids. I like these movies. To me, they're still not Batman movies because he's wearing armor and deflecting bullets and stuff like that. But to make a Batman movie that doesn't have kids in mind is failing. See, that's our classic. Marvel seems more adult, while DC, yeah, I can't argue with that. I can't argue. Kids appreciate serious stuff. Yeah, but right. I'm just rushing through these. So, guys, I implore you, go to YouTube, The Fourth Age with RJ, and I'll meet you over there. So I'm going to shut this down, and I'll meet you guys over at RJ's. Okay? Bye-bye.